Hello everyone, and welcome. I am Lincoln. This is my first attempt at making a terrain video. I am playing a game called Middle-earth Strategy Battle Game. It is a game set in the world of J.R.R. Tolkien, known for the trilogy about Lord of the Rings and The Hobbit. One of my favorite places in these movies and books are the Shire. And I am playing a supplement called Scoring of Shire, a part left out from the films. And therefore I am making terrain for it. And one of the nice pieces I made is a Hobbit hole. And this first terrain video is about that Hobbit hole. It is not a tutorial. There are loads of people out there that are awesome at making tutorial videos, and I don't feel I am one of them. But there is one thing more than just tutorials that I like to watch, and that is inspirational videos where you can see different techniques applied in different ways and that sort of thing. And that is what I want to do. I came back to this hobby after about 10 to 15 years hiatus, about 2 years ago, a few months after the release of the new edition of the game. And in the past months I have played a little with my kids, mostly, and a little bit with my wife, but I have felt that I need some more terrain, and so I have been watching videos and started building my own terrain again. And most of my terrain building is done in front of the television with my wife, and therefore I do not have any video footage of myself actually doing the terrain. But I have stills of the progress, and I will do a voiceover for those still. This is how I built my first scratch built Hobbit hole. The first step when I built my Hobbit hole was to cut out a piece of foam board, also known as foam core or kapaskiva here in Sweden. I had already built one hole with the forge weld set and wanted one that was a bit smaller. Next I cut out pieces of balsa wood for the timbering and the door. I used a knife to bevel the edges of the balsa and a steel brush to bring out some wood grains. Balsa wood is quite plain, so I think it looks better to brush it a bit to get those grains. I glued all the balsa to the foam board, together with a small piece of styrofoam that I made to look like brickwork, with the use of a ball pen. The last step shown in this picture was to cut out a small hill from styrofoam and make the front fit into it. After that has all been glued together, I then used some spackle or filler to get some nice texture on the walls. I used the same thickness of spackle as the wood planks in the door. To make the door look circular, I cut out small pieces of styrofoam that acts like bricks. Then I glued each of the brick around the door with PVA glue. And to make the hill look less cut out and more natural, I rolled up some aluminum foil into a ball and pressed it into the hill, especially where there were straight edges, so I could smooth them out. I made the chimney from styrofoam. I used a ball pen and the back side of a hobby knife to create the brickwork on this chimney. Then I glued it on the back of the hill. I also glued the hole onto a 3mm thick MDF board at this point to get a sturdy base for it. I used sandpaper to get the edges smooth on the MDF board. Then I took some small pieces of leftover styrofoam to make a flower bed. It is a good way to use the leftovers from other cutting to get some nice variation in the height of the terrain model. I used spackle on the flower bed as well as on the edges of the hobbit hole. I did this for two different reasons. First, I wanted to make a nice texture, and secondly, I wanted to hide the small gaps between the pieces of styrofoam in the flower bed as well as between the styrofoam and MDF board on the hill. I then used some sand to create a path on the front of the hobbit hole, and to keep the sand down and make the styrofoam sturdy for the painting, I painted the whole model with Mod Podge. Just a thin coat, so it doesn't ruin any details, but still keeps everything in place. And after that, I painted the model with a base coat of a black crafter's paint. Then I painted the hill and path in grey, also using crafter's paint. For the brown on the wood and the flower bed, I used Citadel's colors, mainly because I didn't have any brown crafter's paint at the time. The main reason I use crafter's paint when making terrain is the price. When painting terrain, the amount used is so much more than for painting some small models. After that, I dry brushed the wood details with a lighter brown. Here it is possible to see why brushing and beveling of the balsa is needed and makes the details look much better. Especially the door looks so much better than it would otherwise. Then it was time to paint the brickwork. I started with a red color. Then the bricks were painted with different amounts of two different orange colors, and a few also with Rathbone white. This gave a nice variation on the bricks. Here I also painted yellow where the window is going. This makes it look like there is a fire or other light source on the inside of the window. For the window I used 2x2mm balsa and some tulle. The tulle is supposed to represent the lead between the small pieces of glass. The window is then painted in black, the frame is dry brushed in brown, and the lead is painted with metal color. The reason I painted the yellow on the house and the window separately before assembly is that my painting skill isn't good enough to paint the tulle without spilling into the area where it is supposed to be yellow. To finish off the model, I gave the model a good black wash with about 75% water and 25% paint. This is not exact measurement, I just winged it, but it's about in that ballpark. Perhaps a little bit more water even. I used 2 shades of green static grass on the ground and 2 more yellowish static grass on the hill. So it looks perhaps a bit like early spring. The grass on the hill hasn't really started to turn up yet, but in the lower side it has. I do not have a static grass applicator, and even though it looks much better if you have one, I like static grass as a ground cover even when it is flat. The flower bed has got 2 flower patches and a few patches of extra long grass. So this is how my hobbit hole turned out. I think it turned out very good, and I had a very fun time building the hobbit hole, and I would now like to know if you think it has been any inspiration for you, or if it isn't your cup of tea. Because if people enjoy this, I will try to find time to do more videos like this. I know I would like to watch more videos with this kind of inspirational content, but I have had no luck finding that much in the area that I want to explore. Do you think it would be a good idea to make more videos like this? Then I might do it again. But for now, keep building and stay safe. I am Lincoln, and farewell till we meet again.